Hey everyone, Zaior here bringing you a new video where we will check out a possible build for the Druid in the next PoE2 league that's just around the corner. I'm super excited to share this build that I've been theory crafting for you, my fellow Druids. On paper, this build looks insane since I made it thinking about this skill, Walking Calamity, which was a huge multiplicative base damage. Actually, I think it might be the biggest in the game, if I'm not mistaken. Before continuing with the video guys, remember that our Discord server is open for anyone who wants to join. There we can discuss existing builds, builds in progress, or just hang out talking about everything PoE2. The link will be in the video description and also on the channel. I'd also really appreciate it if you leave a like, subscribe, and even better, share the video to keep growing this community and reach more RPG players around the world. Thanks. Okay my Druids, let's get straight to the point so it's clear why we are starting by explaining the Ascendancy. Ascendancy is one of those things that inherent in PoE2. I mean, it's essential and very specific to the classes we are going to play. That's why when we build a new character, we start here to lay the foundations and shape the build, because that way we will make the best use of talents given by the Ascendancy we choose. And in this case, we are picking the Shaman Ascendancy. You might ask why we are choosing this Ascendancy. I will explain the core of this Ascendancy so you get an idea of the path we'll follow while building this build. Okay, let's connect Ascendancy to the skill I pick, which is Walking Calamity. The Shaman is designed around three fundamental pillars. The first is Rage, as the central resources, which is our first connection to Walking Calamity. The second is something called Adaptations, which are elemental changes, both offensive and defensive, that we will look in more detail later. And finally, the constant elemental scaling from Rage, Adaptations, and the Mage style Spirit. These pillars fit perfectly with the skill we want to boost, Walking Calamity. And why they synergize? Simple reasons. We consume Rage, generate elemental effects by spending Rage, and trigger different procs depending on the element. In this case, Fire. So let's relate some important points of this Ascendancy with this skill and why they work so well together. First, the skill needs glory to activate, and the glory bar is invisible, so to speak, but it fills up when Rage is at maximum. A common problem in PoE2 is that Rage usually drains on its own or regenerates slowly, and it's not always available when the skill needs those charges. But with this node we have here, Furious Wellspring, it solves all that. First and most importantly, we don't lose Rage passively. Rage regenerates like mana. This means we will be regenerating Rage passively. On top of that, it gives a good amount of maximum Rage. This makes the skill we are using a proc machine, since we will constantly be regenerating all Rage passively or using our melee attacks to generate even more Rage. This Ascendancy node makes generating and regenerating Rage much easier, so we can use this skill as often as possible. Therefore, now our skill is as stable as possible. The first thing that comes to mind is running like crazy across the map while hellish meteors destroy everything. We also have this point here called Avatar Evolution, which is really good to increase our elemental damage and also mitigate elemental damage we receive. In short, and to summarize, in this case, what matters to us is that we gain 5% of physical damage taken as fire damage, which for our skill that converts 100% of the physical damage we deal into fire damage is amazing. On top of that, it gives 4% less elemental damage taken. For example, if we recite fire damage, we gain Adaptation, which reduces fire damage by 4% for 10 seconds. This node is a combination of offensive and defensive, quite useful. Then we have this other node here, Bringer the Apocalypse. I still don't know what it does, but it has a pretty interesting name and could be an alternative to multiplier our damage monstrally. Just by name, I hope it's something good to test and use. Besides the points we just explained in the Ascendancy, we have others that keep giving max Rage and some points for extra elemental damage, which not only drives our main skill, but also secondary ones like Volcano or Furious Slam. So the Shaman complements exactly what we are looking for in this build. In summary, we have Rage as the main resource, variable elemental damage, Fire being the main one, Adaptations, which is like an elemental aura that influences skill, and most importantly, a spectacular uptime to not lose Rage. Really, this Ascendancy plus Walking Calamity is made to work together. Okay, let's explain in a simple way how Walking Calamity works and why I choose this skill to theorycraft a possible meta Druid build. This skill is a button that literally turns your bird into a living meteor. You don't need to spam anything else, literally just walk while health unfolds around you. So what happens when it activates? For 10 seconds, meteors fall automatically. One meteor falls every 0.05 seconds, which means 20 meteors per second. To me, this is insane. Plus, each meteor converts 100% of physical damage into fire damage, which is also crazy. It's 100% elemental damage, and it has a 149% attack damage, and that's at base level, level 13. On top of this, every time 20 meteors fall, a big one falls that hits with more than double the damage of a small meteor, 374%. On paper, this skill is insane. With huge damage, we can take advantage of on high-density maps and bosses. We can even shrink the impact area to focus the meteors in one spot instead of sprinting out. So there's a lot of possibilities with this skill. To top it off, when this skill is active, we regenerate rage every 5 seconds, gain 3% of our damage as fire damage, and leave ignite on the ground. So we'll basically be an automatic meteor shower most of the time. Some support gems we could use with this skill. The obvious ones, Rage 2 or Rage 4, which help us sustain rage. For elemental damage, Eternal Flame or Fire Atonement, boosting fire elemental damage. And for AoE map clearing, Magnify Area to maximize meteor AoE. These are the first ones that come to mind and are simple to understand theoretically. Recommended scaling for this build so is fire damage, elemental damage, area damage, physical damage since it converts physical into fire, and probably rage on hit and rage generation. Before moving to the next interesting skill for this type of build, I want to clarify how we can regenerate rage, which is crucial for this build. First method, standard attacks. In bear form, we hit to regenerate rage or use skills that grant rage on hit. Higher attack speed equals more rage regeneration. Bear form is very stable. The second method, Walking Calamity, which regenerates 5 rage per second while active. So just having it activated gives us a lot of rage. Lasting 10 seconds may scale with gem level. Third and most powerful, Shaman Ascendancy, as seen before, Furious Wellspring regenerates 6% of our mixed rage. Massive. Imagine 100 rage equals 6 per second. Plus this node prevents natural rage drain. Basically, we are a rage machine. Finally, items might add more, but I haven't seen what useful yet. We'll balance defense later, maybe maximum rage on talisman or rage on hit. Feel free to share ideas in the comments or our Discord. Okay, that's covered rage, so we can move on with the THEORYCRAFT of the build. Another very interesting skill is Ferocious Roar, which fits perfectly in this build. Basically, we have a meta Warcry skill for the Druid, tied to bear form. Its main effect is transforming you into a bear and automatically triggers any Warcry socketed in the gem. Additionally, using Ferocious Roar improves the socketed Warcries like damage and AoE. Some useful gems. Infernal Cry, perfect for this fire elemental damage build. Another one is Seismic Cry, boost AoE and damage. Another one is Raging Cry, not a Warcry itself but as a support. Improves Warcries generating rage, which is key here. So Ferocious Roar is an important addition to increase Walking Calamity benefits. Okay Druids, here's come the tricky part. We don't have the fully updated skill tree yet, but we can do this. My idea for the first general view of the possible tree is to split passives into 3 sections. Why split? Because the Druid starts in this part of the tree, so nervy points go from here upward to the Sorcerer and Witch sections. In this section, many points are dedicated to fire damage, which is our main damage in this build, because it converts 100% of physical damage into fire. Not partially, the full 100%. Physical damage as a scalar isn't needed, only base damage matters. As you can see, focusing on fire nodes in this section and up here are strong, giving fire penetration. Anything boosting fire damage is a primary scalar for the skill, plus fire penetration, meteors continuously hitting resistance enemies is very strong. Ignite will be secondary, as meteors already deal high direct and AoE damage, but the why is secondary. Higher fire damage makes Ignite chance high, helping with stability against bosses, that means constant damage. Typically synergizes, increased damage against Ignite enemies and reduced damage from Ignite enemies, for example. This complements the build, allowing the first buff, Herald of Ash. Also, flammability makes enemies more vulnerable to fire, not a direct damage increase, but a useful debuff. We also have points for totems. My idea is to start with Volcano plus a spell totem while it's a shredding monster in bear form. Totem will cast a skill for us, and points increase spell damage, crit and fire damage from the start. Finally, points for Warcries like early Ferocious Roar, gem level 7 to gain buff early. In general, this tree gives a wide overview to start building this build. It should work well, so strong offense and solid defense. Bear form has high base life, damage reduction, good armor. And our main attributes is strength and intelligence. We will aim to cap resistance and maybe energy shield is a good addition, but defense aren't fully clear yet. In my opinion, this build has a solid foundation and is theoretically quite viable so far. I want to start with bear form because walking Calamity caught my attention, plus running as a bear unleashing literary apocalypse on the map. I will leave the planner in the description so you can add to your favorites and check updates as I tweak this build. I won't be complete yet, we will have updates as we progress with the Druid. If you like the video, don't forget to like and subscribe so we reach more RPG players worldwide and grow our Druid community. See you, Exiles.